The philosophy of Nag Champa has been buried for many centuries. Many scholars and universities outright refuse to even discuss them, mainly due to his radical views on race and gender that they claim hold no place even in an ancient, brutalized society. While not all of his philosophy is hateful, many of his teachings on leadership and war stratagem are extremely impactful still today. I would like to point you first to a very popular passage that you probably have heard the beginning of, but most people have never heard the full thing. Hold your friends close, but your enemies closer, and build their cities from within their walls, or it will be hard for them to tear down that which they rely upon the most. Likewise, even the mosquito knows that the balls receive the softest slap. This is a brilliant quote. The concept here is if a mosquito landed, say, on your arm, you smack that right off, but if it were your nuts, this becomes a surgical removal. The comparison is that if you entrench yourself within your enemy's systems, they cannot easily remove you, and will have to make many great sacrifices where you will have the high ground on the negotiations table. Champa is also responsible for many motivational phrases, most recognizably, while the horse plays in the field and indulges himself in folly, the monkey concerns himself with business, enriching his intellectual empire. Do not be like a lion who hides his mane in the storm, but be like the worms, when even in the mightiest downpour, they do not hide in the earth, but float to the surface and search for light. So true. So true. Oddly, Champa had some sort of fascination with animals. Champa also loved to write about war and peace, and some accounts claim that he was the man who defeated Sun Tzu. It's in the stars, it's been written in the scars on our hearts. We're not broken, just bent, and we can learn to love again. Champa's philosophy on war was peace through strength. He believed that war was folly, and the only reason to fight was over land promised to someone 3,000 years ago, oil, and if it looked like their cities were becoming nicer than yours. Now, unfortunately, Nag Champa had a lot of controversial writings, which were responsible for his exile during the Clone Wars. He is most notoriously known for the passage, "If it's black, stand back. If it's brown, don't hang around. A Jew let him mew. A yellow is mellow. White is just right." Many Nag Champa naysayers argue that this passage was in the context of race. This is the type of speech that got Nag Champa removed from widespread circulation. It was actually bravely used in recent years by the UCLA debate team when they concluded that it's actually okay to make fun of people for their race, as long as you're not making fun of a black person. Supporters of Nag Champa like to argue that he wasn't referring to race, but rather wedding cake recommendations. It would make sense. Obviously, a black cake would only be acceptable at a funeral, whereas a white cake is more suitable for a wedding. But the meaning behind Jew let him mew is still conflicting, yet diehard fans argue that this line was either modified or censored through centuries of mistranslations. Other teachings aimed at women also brought Nag Champa a lot of negative press. In the event of a blood moon or similar cosmic occurrence, all women must be chained and enclosed in separate housing, for if the stars align with thy cycle, they may become beasts of the night. The three existing women philosophers today argue that this is a sexist demonization akin to the dangerous rhetoric that led to the Salem witch trials. They also argue that period cycles are no laughing matter and label Nag Champa an incel for such insensitivity. He often made dire warnings and claimed that women were from an alien race who planned to take over the world, trapping men in human milking farms, which would then be governed by a Frankenstein radio control system. Popular female leaders like Kamala Harris, Queen Elizabeth, Harriet Tubman, and Justin Trudeau have denied such claims, labeling them as racist, homophobic, sexist, anti-Semitic, far-right, capitalist, neo-Christian, nationalist conspiracies, while outright denying any credibility to them, which doesn't really prove anything because obviously they would deny it if it was true. Sadly, the majority of Nag Champa's teachings are so offensive and full of gore that I cannot explain them here in any detail. They do exist out there, just you gotta look them up. It's for that reason that many villains throughout history have adapted his ideologies. King Herod, Jeffrey Dahmer, Saddam Hussein, Friedrich, which just adds another reason as to why critics today believe his rhetoric to be extreme and dangerous. It's unfortunate that Nag Champa has been essentially wiped out from a cultural discussion. While many of his teachings can be considered widely offensive, there is still wisdom to be gained from evaluating his philosophy. The banning of Nag Champa further proves the belief that history is written only by the winners. I hope that maybe someday we will be able to come around and focus only on the positives that he shared. Sucks that we go through so much of life highlighting the worst in people. I think we are so quick to judge and condemn others, but never ourselves. But anyways, I have been holding out on you guys so that I can leave you with his most powerful message. Girl, forget your name tonight. Your world was never right. So leave your mere memories behind so that you might live like you will die another day. Be home.
What? You guys have regulation on podcast?